there is one story that just keeps on developing at the moment. This Romeo Lavia situation. We've been talking about him so much throughout the window, but in relation to Liverpool, now we're talking about him in relation to Chelsea.
I know it's constantly changing, isn't it? But I'm not actually entirely surprised that another club have seen that things aren't moving quite as quickly as first anticipated with Liverpool. I think when they were first putting bids in, other clubs were maybe looking at that and thinking that was a certainty it would get done. It's not moved as quickly. They've now had 3 bids rejected. So Chelsea are looking at this player thinking, well, Caicedo is not yet done. He maybe offers something similar in terms of his defensive attributes. He's a player with a huge amount of potential, already got Premier League experience, looks like a really solid part of that Southampton team. When he wasn't playing last season, they really noticeably missed him. So Chelsea are thinking, well, let's get involved in the race and try and see if we can get something done. From a Liverpool fan perspective, the internet's gone mad. People aren't happy because they've been going after this player as their main target, and he's really the player they've identified as someone that can come in and step up and take the position that Fabinho did. Fabinho left unexpectedly, and Liverpool at the moment are playing without anyone in that number 6 role. They've trialled Curtis Jones there, McAllister, both not natural in that position. Lavia was the main target. If Chelsea manage to get this player over the line and Liverpool don't, then that does seem like it would be a massive blow to Liverpool.
I am curious as to why, with Southampton saying they want 50 million, Chelsea have gone in with 48.
That's the surprising thing, yeah.
Because they, especially when you've seen that Liverpool have had those 3 bids already rejected. So Chelsea have gone in, but they've still gone 2 million under.
If someone wants him, just pay it.
It's not like Chelsea haven't got it. We know that they do, and it's actually staggering. Even Liverpool, I mean, I know Jamie Carragher had a lot to say about, Liverpool's stance on this Lavia deal, because clearly Southampton aren't budging. You know what the price is. Time is more than ticking. The beginning of the Premier League season is coming up this weekend. And Lavia still hasn't moved yet. And if you're Southampton, obviously, yes, they've just got relegated, but they're far within their rights to say, this is our price for the player. And until we get that price, we're not going to sanction any deal. But it is massively worrying, though, for Liverpool. I think if you look at what Chelsea have done in letting those bids transpire, just putting one after the other.
Look at me in the eyes, Fletcher. You're so deep in the eyes.
But it would be if he does go to Chelsea instead of Liverpool. That is a bad one, because clearly this is one of Jurgen Klopp's top priorities. You don't put 3 bids in for a player that you don't really want. So I think if he does go to Chelsea, Liverpool fans definitely will be absolutely upset with that.
I mean,
you can't argue that, can you?
Yeah. I understood Carragher's sentiment in his tweet, to be honest, because as Fletcher said there, in previous years, Liverpool, if they wanted a player, they'd just pay the price, or they'd pinch in before anyone else got some, kind of like McAllister, actually, and Szoboszlai, to be fair. But with this deal, it feels as though Liverpool are not willing to pay the extra 2 million or 3 million, whatever it is, to get Lavia. The problem they're going to have is, if you spend so long pursuing one player in a transfer window, make so many bids, and then eventually don't land that player come 21st August, and then you've got not enough sort of hours in the day to try and get another one over the line, considering you don't have another number 6, it's a very risky strategy from a club that, over the last few years, actually has done business very, very well.
You don't normally do that, do you? I mean, speaking from a Manchester United perspective, I can tell you all about following players, not getting
Frankie de Jong.
Literally, this time last year, it was all about Frankie de Jong, followed him up to a ridiculous point of the window, and then all of a sudden the profile changes and we get Casemiro. Now, don't get me wrong, Casemiro turned out to be a fantastic signing. But in relation to Jurgen Klopp and this Liverpool side and how he's been backed usually in the decisions that he makes, very astute, in early. Usually Liverpool, I remember when you got Thiago, Jota, same thing, Luis Diaz, done.
It always flies under the radar as well. And I think that's maybe what surprises Liverpool fans. Usually they're linked with a player for a week and then all of a sudden it's done. And then with this one, it's dragged on so long. But not only that, the plan, in my eyes, was that he'd come in as a bit of an understudy to Fabinho. He'd learn from him. He'd have a few months to settle into the team and work out who he was going to be playing with in the midfield around him. Fabinho's gone. So even if he does come in, that is a huge amount of pressure, because that number 6 role is completely key for Liverpool. They have so much responsibility to protect the defence, to sit back a little bit deeper when both the fullbacks are pushing forward. So if he does come in, the responsibility is huge, and you'd think that Liverpool need another midfielder who's got even more experience. So it's not just Lavia they need. Arguably, it's another one as well.
But at the moment, it's trying to get him in even, isn't it? Is this
exactly.
now going to galvanise Liverpool into doing something else?
I mean, as Liverpool fans, we're both sat here. I mean, Harry's got so many notes on this. Half of them probably say we just need to get a number 6.
It's just number 6 in huge letters across the page.
It's probably the most important position for a team like Liverpool or Manchester City. Teams that want to suffocate the opposition, you need a number 6. Now, Lavia, as I've said on previous shows, isn't the exact profile. But if you miss out on Lavia, you're just praying there's a plan B, and I don't know if there is.
I think you say about the profile there, Liverpool have spotted attributes in him that are completely essential to what Liverpool need to do. The main one for me being the recovery pace, because I mentioned there, when the press is really intense and Liverpool have pushed really high forward in attack, they need someone who can quickly get back in line and cover that defence, because we've seen in pre-season so many times, there's been one ball over the top and it's unpicked Liverpool's defence because there's just no one there to pick up the missing pieces. Maybe he's not the exact profile you want, but he's got the defensive attributes in terms of being really good in a tackle, the recovery pace that I mentioned. He's very tenacious as well. Jurgen Klopp will have looked at him and said he's a mould and a character that we can make better, that we can see the potential in. But Chelsea have seen that as well now, and I completely understand it, because from Chelsea's perspective, they're thinking Caicedo is taking a little bit longer, maybe Brighton are going to hold firm on their 100 million valuation. We want someone now who's going to unlock Enzo Fernandez, because Enzo Fernandez has been playing maybe more defensively than Chelsea fans will have hoped, and they've not got to see his full potential in terms of his passing range, his creative spark. Having more of a defensive midfielder alongside Fernandez would allow him to be more expansive, to push forward more. So I can see why both teams are in for him, but for Liverpool, it's like, someone just pay the 50 million and please can it not be Chelsea?
These two in their feelings a lot about Liverpool at the moment, so let's just bring it back to Chelsea.
I'll just leave them to it.
I know. Your time will come when we're talking Man United.
Absolutely.
If Chelsea are going for Lavia, fronting up around 50 million, what does this mean for Moises Caicedo? Does this mean that they're not in for him anymore?
Well, you would see it a really difficult situation for Chelsea to sign both, especially with the fees that have been touted for Moises Caicedo. Brighton, if you're talking about playing hardball and not letting your players go for the price that you don't want them to go for, Brighton are the epitome of that. They do not sell unless it's on their terms. And that's what we're seeing with Moises Caicedo. He could easily be an option for Liverpool, and probably should be.
You're bringing it back to Liverpool now. You're circling it back round.
Because I don't see Chelsea if they do get Lavia. I know Tyler Adams has been mentioned as well as a cheaper alternative as well, £20 million. They could potentially get both of those for what Caicedo would cost. And then where's Caicedo going to go? And then if you're looking back towards Liverpool, who really do need this number 6, Caicedo would be perfect with the money that they've got for Jordan Henderson and Fabinho. Yeah. You're looking at it thinking, why can't Liverpool then go for him if Chelsea do decide to do that? So this is
the fact that Liverpool are not willing to pay $2 million extra for Lavia.
How are they going to go higher for? Yeah. But then that just leaves Caicedo just who's going to take him?
He may end up staying at Brighton.
Yeah. Chelsea surely aren't going to pay 150 million for the two players when you'd think maybe they'd offer similar defensive attributes. Although you do look at that Chelsea squad and you look at that midfield, and it is definitely an area that they're light in. They've lost Mount, Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic. They've lost a lot of players from their area that are really key. Kante as well.
They've got to get this right.
So they have got to get it right. But you'd think they maybe block each other's playing time. They aren't in Champions League or Europa League this season. They're only playing in the Premier League. Do they need to spend 150 million on two players this window? Could they just bargain on one and then think about another one in January, see how the year goes? I don't think they need both, and I definitely don't think they'll be willing to spend 150 million on just two players.
For you, Lavia, where does he fit better?
That's a tough one. I think Jurgen Klopp for him would be brilliant. I think the way that he improves players, and I know Pochettino can do it, and Pochettino is equally as good with young players as well, has a good track record of that. I just think with the high intensity that Klopp wants to play at, and I've seen some of Klopp talking about he wants Liverpool to get back to that. If you look at that prime Liverpool side under Klopp, when it was like Wijnaldum, Henderson, and there Fabinho, etc., they were fantastic. And I think Lavia could elevate his game under Jurgen Klopp's stewardship that bit more. If he did go to Chelsea, again, it's still a good move for him. Absolutely still a good. And not just because he's been relegated with Southampton and he gets back to the Premier League, but in terms of the two managers that are there, they're perfect for young players. They've got a great track record at improving players and bringing out some of their weaknesses and improving them. And then all of a sudden, you don't remember their weaknesses anymore. That's the epitome of both managers. But I just think Jurgen Klopp, with this rebuild as well, who absolutely deserves the time to do this, because this is a new territory.
Huge transitional period.
Absolutely. This hasn't really happened. I mean, there was a time when Liverpool had a load of injuries and had to kind of stumble over the line to still get top 4 during the what season was that? After the COVID season. But in terms of question marks of rebuilding a fantastic Liverpool side, this is the first time Klopp's had to do it. So that's why there's all these sort of uncertainties. But I still think that Jurgen Klopp's more than capable of getting Liverpool back to challenging at the top again. So, and I do actually think
that. Clip that up.
I do. And I've said that all along. But he does need the backing. So if Lavia ended up at Liverpool, for me, I think that would be the better move.
They'd find that really difficult without a number 6. I'm going to keep saying it. It doesn't just say number 6 on this page, but if they don't manage to get that defensive midfielder in, I do see a world where they struggle next season, particularly playing with this new box midfield, where that role is going to become even more crucial, supporting Trent Alexander-Arnold, allowing him to roam more into midfield. Andy Robertson has been pushing forward quite a lot as well, so you need that defensive midfielder to anchor everything. That's got to be the priority, and the league is only starting in a couple of days.
Just to bring it back to Chelsea, because Flex mentioned a minute ago, they're still trying to get Tyler Adams in. It could be, well, it's a really busy time for Chelsea at the moment. Out of the 3 players we're mentioning, Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, I mean, Tyler Adams looks like that's going to happen.
Well, at the moment, they need bodies through the door, especially in midfield. Conor Gallagher was linked to West Ham at the start of the window. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. He may still end up leaving. But I think ultimately they need options in midfield, and Tyler Adams, for what is being said, is a 20 million release clause, seems like the best option. If you can't get Caicedo, you've got to get one and another. Really tenacious player. We obviously saw him at Leeds, and I think he's a very good fit for Chelsea for what they need at this moment in time.
Right, go on.
He's just a safe bet as well, isn't he? Maybe not someone that Chelsea fans will be looking at and getting particularly excited about or thinking he's going to come in and change the game. But I mentioned earlier the amount of players they lost in that midfield area. Someone that has proven themselves at Premier League level, who is tenacious, who's got a lot of those more defensive attributes, who will come in and just be able to hit the ground running. Maybe not a name that's going to really excite Chelsea fans, but one that I actually think would be a really good option for the release clause that's being spoken about as well.